Hello, and welcome to this episode of Stage of the Game. Yay!
Yay!
As always, we got, well, not always, but most of the
Oh.
time.
As often.
Yes. We have Owen, Jessie, and Jared. Oh, wow.
Oh, you said it,
I think that's the
Jared.
second time I've done that.
You did that before, too.
Owen, Jesse, and Tony.
It's
because
you
I
said
like
my name first, and they
yeah.
group
I
together.
like alliteration.
So did my parents.
But, and on that note, happy birthday to Jared, Jesse's
Yay!
brother.
Special shout out.
I'm not mad because it's his birthday.
Thank you, Jared, for helping me, Tony, not be mad at me. Well, on that note, today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic, politics. Yay!
Yay!
Specifically, politics within theater and video games, or as it pertains to theater and video games. We had a discussion beforehand, we're going to try our hardest to not go off on any political rants or tangents with our own political beliefs or grievances. But we can't promise. We can't promise that won't happen because we're very opinionated
people.
Yes. Yes, we do.
We all of us have experience. Well, I don't know, Jesse. Have you volunteered to do like canvassing or anything like that?
Well, no, I haven't, because that's my nightmare. It's talking to strangers.
So I canvassed for
That's fair.
Barack Obama, and I know, Tony, you worked on the Hillary Clinton campaign.
I did. Yeah.
So we each have
Semi-reluctantly, but I did.
in Pennsylvania, no less.
Yeah, that was fun. I got physically assaulted doing that. That was fun.
What?
Yeah, someone actually tried to shove me out of their doorway.
Dude.
Like, he put his hand on my chest and shoved me, and it didn't work because I'm huge. So it didn't work. And I just kind of looked at him like, really? Like,
We're a civilized people, sir.
I
Simply ask me to go.
I laughed at him and walked away. I didn't even finish what I was talking about. But yeah, that happened. Yeah. But yeah, I have a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
But I do always vote.
Yes.
Vote.
Owen and I in 2016 had a caucus party.
Huh?
Caucus.
It's caucus.
Yeah,
We went to the caucus, and then we also had we went to Buffalo Wild Wings for Super Tuesday.
For Super Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun day.
Yeah, everyone else was watching sports. We were watching the polls come in.
Oh my God.
We
Who
said,
would watch
hey.
sports on Super Tuesday?
They looked at us funny too. They were just kind of like,
We were watching the CNN. Like,
You should look at them.
we talked to the
funny.
waiter. Like, can you change that one to CNN? Thanks.
Just the one, sir, please. Legit.
Good time.
Relatable content.
yes. But because this is a theater and gaming podcast,
Yes.
we're going to try to not talk about
So,
just the broad scope. We're going to try to isolate it.
We shall not rant.
I
Perhaps.
guess to start off the discussion in theater, if you hear the term political theater, it's nothing to do with actual theater. Most of the time, if you're hearing about it on the news, political theater, in regards to that sense, is politicians putting on a show.
We just think about we're always thinking about
Yes.
theater. And I'm like, what?
But yes, if you hear a news pundit talking about political theater, don't get it confused with actual theater.
Don't mean us. Nobody ever means us.
But there is such thing as political theater outside of that realm.
Woo! And we like it.
Yes.
Well, I like it. I like it very much. Well, most of the time.
Well,
It's still subject to the laws of good or bad theater.
Historically, theater is very political. It always has
Oh
been.
yeah, it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. Shakespeare was all about
I was going to say Shakespeare is
praising the
specifically.
king.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shakespeare was. Let's do the plays that we can make the king think, but also make him not cut our heads off.
Yes. A fine, fine line to traverse.
Thank God it's only kind of that way now.
Only kind of indeed.
Owen.
I think the
Remember,
public
I
pulled
think
it as far as they possibly could.
There's a few. There's a few who push it.
One big controversy in recent memory I shall throw to our group is the production of Julius Caesar, where Julius.
That's
Yes,
what I was thinking of.
that's what I was just mentioning to the public.
Hey, was that the public?
Yep.
I didn't
Well,
think that
they
was
do
a
Shakespeare.
public,
Yeah, no, public
Oh, okay.
runs
Because I was
Shakespeare in the
in my
park.
brain it was outside. That's right. That's right. Yes, a piece vastly misinterpreted by so many.
Yeah.
So
I'd like
many.
to reiterate this now. The play Julius Caesar is all about why political assassination is bad. It's not
And just
praising
because
it
a
in
character
any way.
is saying something, that means that the character believes that, not that the play believes that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not let's just take a minute and everybody just calm down. Like, do a little research on your plays before you get mad. Just take a minute.
But that is work. I don't want to have to do that.
So many people don't. So many. God, yeah.
Oh, and if you interrupt the play for a stupid reason because you don't agree with what's going on and you paid tickets to go see that play, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although they
And
didn't pay the
please do
tickets.
not
They waited
climb
in
on the
line
stage
for God
because
knows how
that's
long.
dangerous.
That's on you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, while we're on it, just interrupting the play as a whole, especially to charge your fucking cell phone. Remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Yes,
Patty was,
of course.
wasn't it?
No, that was Hand to
that was
God.
something else. Yeah,
That was hand to God. Someone went on stage to
I
plug
think that was
into his
before the
phone
show,
and
though.
out.
and it wasn't even a real outlet. Like,
No,
it's
it was a
of
yeah.
course, it was part of the set. But he was just like, outlets. No, nothing
Don't
is
walk
real
on the stage. Never walk on the
Never
goddamn
walk
stage.
on the stage
Yes.
unless
Well-
it's like once, where there's a bar on
Yeah.
stage at the beginning of the show.
Unless you're seated on the stage for like immersive thing. Do not walk on the fucking stage. Don't touch anything on the goddamn stage.
Yes.
Don't do it. And
Amen.
don't interrupt the goddamn playthrough. Stupid shit.
Yeah, seriously, because also you're not just ruining it for yourself, but you're ruining it for every single other person in that theater who paid probably an inordinate amount of money to be there.
Yeah.
And that is just rude, and not everything is about you.
So yes. Back to politics.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
If we're not allowed to rant about our own personal politics, we're going to rant about something else.
I know.
This is true.
It's
We do
close to
like
home.
to rant.
As an usher, I do hate patrons who interrupt the fucking show. But yes, let's rant about politics,
Yeah.
shall we?
So yeah, theater's always been used as a political device to express beliefs, to give their opinions and things a platform. And obviously, being theater, the industry that it is, usually those views are skewed pretty liberal. Because
Which is
it's
an
a pretty liberal
interesting thing, yeah.
industry.
That's just an interesting concept because you're right. It has been. It's been liberal for the time, and what was once liberal is now conservative, and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
There is no perpetual liberal because that's not a thing. And usually, just historically, even is once the liberals get what they want, that will become the norm, and then eventually people like to keep the same usually. So they say, we got what we wanted, we're going to stay. That's a whole political philosophy thing. But yes, it is neat to say that theater has always been a more liberal side of things. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of what I would consider to be a conservative show.
Well, because it's almost really, and I don't want to, but you all know we're liberal here, right? I assume you are too. Anyway,
Well,
I
we
think
just
that
said
the
that he was on the
conservative
Hillary Clinton
platform
campaign,
is-
and I canvassed Barack Obama, so you know. But
oh yes. So I think you know where we stand a little bit. But I feel like the arts are not even on the conservative platform. Conservatives cut the arts as part of their platforms, whereas liberals support it. So just for starters.
Well, modern liberals.
Oh yeah. Well, we're talking about now. I presume
Yeah,
we're talking about now.
yeah,
right
and
now.
modern.
Yeah.
I am no historian, except about the Rachel Carson. But
But yeah, no. Especially the arts community has been very up in arms in the recent political climate, for multiple reasons.
being threatened.
We've been not personally, but like they've called out our industry.
Mm-hmm.
There have been multiple instances, including the production with Julius Caesar. Hamilton came under fire for when Mike Pence saw it, and they addressed Mike Pence, specifically the actor at the time playing Hamilton, who was gay and HIV positive. Specifically wanted to call out, saying, "Hey, we want to make sure that like in your coming administration, you give rights to all Americans," and that's all he said. He didn't like call him out as anything else other than that. He just made a simple request, and then there was massive
crazy
backlash on Facebook and Twitter. It's fun to watch people going on doing fake Facebook reviews saying, "Don't like this musical is terrible, don't do it." I just loved responding to those, saying like, you do know this is like the most popular show on Broadway right now, and it's not going anywhere.
Did you know that one ticket in the back balcony is $500? Like, so you're not gonna.
Yeah, people were like, "I'm selling my ticket.
You're not
like, I'll
gonna
buy
stop
it."
this thing. Yeah,
If you guys want your tickets, I'll take them.
They
Give them
will
right here.
sell.
Give them to me, the socialist liberal. I'll take your tickets. I love handouts.
That's such a good joke.
Bam! Owen is on fire.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh yeah. And I agree. I mean, and theater is like a response to our times so often. It's reflecting what's going around us. Even like in almost every play you see. I saw this year with Morgan, who once appeared on this podcast many, many moons ago.
We miss you,
we won the lottery to Wicked, and I was like, oh, Wicked, it's classic Broadway, whatever, we'll go on a little romp. But actually, it was like wrought with political themes about like censorship and oppression and racism, and I was like, this is really fucking timely, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And putting it in a play like Wicked makes it almost more accessible than when you hit people over the head with a baseball bat. I know that one play that is going at Playwrights Horizons right now, and I cannot speak with authority on it because I have not seen it yet, but it's called This Flat Earth by Lindsay Ferrantino, who also wrote Amy and the Orphans, which is a great play. But I've heard
the title's
really
already
bad
making me
things.
cringe.
Yeah, the title made me and Owen just go,
I've heard really bad.
Oh,
Yep.
we lost
Jesse,
her, I think.
Jesse, you still there?
Check your connection. Yeah. No, we lost her. She's gone.
I hear you like glitching in, Jesse, but like you're frozen and like we can't hear you.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
We lost her forever.
We need to know what this play is about.
Yes. It's a nice freeze frame of her though.
Yeah. Quickly, vamp.
Good.
We lost
Jesse.
Jesse
Lost her
completely.
forever. Oh well. We tried, man. I want to know what this play's about.
Yeah. See, this is why you shouldn't replace in-person actors with technology, because this kind of thing will happen.
Yep.
So
Always does. Always does.
Yep.
Am I back?
She's back.
Yes, we can't see you,
yet.
but we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. And now, can you see me?
There.
Hey, I made a
Yeah.
hot spot. Sometimes my Wi-Fi is bullshit.
It happens.
Sorry for leaving you. I could hear you clearly and see you clearly.
Yeah, we were just like, Jesse.
And I called out in vain, but no one could hear me. Yeah,
Tell us what the
were we
play's
talking
about. The flat
Oh,
Earth
this
play.
letter is about a shooting at a middle school.
That's not at all what I thought that was going to be about.
No, so it's like very timely, but I have only heard bad things about it, even from my more generous friends, and it makes me wonder sometimes that like going right at the political issues
Mhm.
when maybe you're not like super qualified to is not always the best way to create change. I'm not saying it's not worth it, and I think we should actually be making art about all sorts of things. But I think it's interesting. What's more successful, what's more palatable, especially as we live in such a divided country today by like an insane amount, what's going to start a dialogue instead of creating more divisiveness? And obviously, theater can only change people who come to the theater. But Props to Wicked. I really, I'm not a super fan because it's too popular, and I'm like a hip
Pop.
person.
Yeah.
I walked into that one.
Sure did. Yeah, sure did.
I'll just quietly jump out the window now. No big. But, props to that fucking play. You know what? It is saying something, and I appreciate that.
I'm trying to look up this play that I listened to a reading of on a different podcast that was about the gun debate in the United States. And it was just these two couples sitting at a diner talking about the gun debate. And it was really interesting because it was from both sides, and it was like just like casual conversation at a table. So it wasn't like super heated or anything like that. It was just four people having a discussion about it. And I thought it was actually really good. I'm trying to look it up.
There's always a way, like theater, even more than what is like how are you going to tell this story is can be, there are great plays out there.
Yeah, and there are. We'll say this as Jesse pointed, like with as people saying bad things about this Player Horizons. There is really bad political theater out there.
Absolutely.
Just because like you want to like attack an issue head on. You need to do it in the right way.
Yes. And again, I have not seen this Flat Earth. I'm only going by things my friends have told me. And Lindsay Ferrantino is definitely a good playwright. However, I have concerns about it. And this podcast topic made me think about it. I should go see it. Playwrights Horizon is not too expensive.
But yeah, I mean, someone who had to read the first 10 pages of 70 plays for our playwriting festival. There were a bunch of plays in there that were political. There was one that was specifically about the 2016 election, where it was Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and Vladimir Putin in a hotel room, and it was so bad. And this was the first 10 pages I got. I was like, I know you're trying to be like doing this like political savvy thing and like attack like a really hot button issue and.
But stop trying.
It needs to be a well thought out, smart piece that like you can't just attack one side from it. You need to be able to bring both sides together and give an issue. It's just if you're gonna do it, you need to do it well, or else no one will come see it. You can't just rant. You can't. As much as you want to, you can't.
I mean, you're still building a world, a play, a story with characters that need to be fleshed out. You can't abandon the rules of good storytelling for a hot topic issue, because that's not what this is. If you want that, go to the news.
Consider like you would with any political debate. You need to have facts supporting your arguments. You need to be able to understand the other side's point of view at the same time in order for your argument to support.
You do not need to support it. You just need to understand it and be able to actually categorize it. And say, here's how they feel and here's why they feel this way. You don't have to by any means sympathize it. You don't have to anything like that. It's just you got to understand it. You got to know where these characters are going to be coming from.
So if you're going to write a political play, you need to show that you understand both sides of the issue, and you're not just ranting on what you believe in.
Here's why I like what I like, and fuck you.
Yeah, that doesn't make for good theater at all.
No, that makes for shitty.
And that's always boring, just to have one side of anything, right? It's like when you have a two-dimensional villain in a play about nothing. Like, you want the villain to be interesting. We want everything to be interesting. We're telling a story, people. Don't forget to tell interesting stories with good characters. Yeah.
So
what about video games, guys?
Yeah, video games, politics. Video games have actually been thrust into politics very recently.
Because they've gotten blamed a lot.
With the new rash of school shootings that have been going on, we mentioned this before in a different episode, but politicians have been pointing to violent video games as a possible cause for violent actions. And we said here
I think it goes without saying that we don't agree.
Yeah, we said here before, we very much do not agree with this at all.
The science also disagrees.
Psychologists also do not agree with this statement.
We still do facts
studies
over here.
that's supported that this has no correlation whatsoever. I know Tony and I at least play violent video games all the damn time.
Yeah.
And we
I kill spiders with axes and don't starve. So
That's not unviolent, killing something with an axe.
of course, I play Skyrim and Zelda, and
No, it is
Mario trifles with turtle abuse. So
it is a bullshit argument.
Absolutely, it is.
And like the fact that this administration has gone so far as to like, okay, I want to have a meeting with executives about it so we can discuss ways to curb this, even though, again, people are saying like you're not going to get anything from this because there's literally no ties to it.
There's no correlation.
And here's just a little bitty political rant, just tiny, just like so small, but like, okay, right now people who are big gun supporters are looking for any scapegoat except for the NRA. They're blaming video games, they're blaming the victims, they're blaming, literally grasping at straws. They're paid actors, you know what I mean? It feels like they're wildly blaming anybody because it is so bad now that there is finally a little bit of pressure on the NRA, and they're such a big, horrible, powerful organization. That I'm not surprised they came for video games because they came for every fucking thing else. Mm-hmm. Rant over.
Mm-hmm. But
sorry.
It is improved time and time again that video games do not, like playing violent video games does not lead to violent actions in real life. In anything else, it is, most people will agree that it helps to calm people down. If anything, mm-hmm. It's a good stress release.
I've had bad days where I was like, you know what, I want to go kill some aliens.
Yeah, I've had days where I'm like, you know what, I'm loading up Grand Theft Auto. I'm just gonna mow down people and go through a giant police chase.
Because we're smart enough as adult human beings to know what is real and what is not real.
Although long times after playing Grand Theft Auto,
like a million years ago, like that program that was like you could have a hammer and like smash your computer screen. I mean, but like virtually, and like paint and like tar. This was like such a 90s thing.
I remember that.
Anyway, good times.
The one thing I will say about Grand Theft Auto, every time I now see like one of those armored trucks that from banks and stuff like that, when I'm like driving alongside one, I'm like, if I had a sticky bomb right now, I'd just throw it out the window and detonate it and grab the money and go. Of course, I do not have any sticky bombs, nor even if I did have any sticky bombs, would I use them.
You wouldn't be coordinated enough to use it.
Police in real life are nowhere near as stupid as the police in Grand Theft Auto.
Sticky bombs just sound cute, like sticky buns, but they
sticky bombs.
Bombs.
Yeah. No, it's
I mean, if you don't like Grand Theft Auto, here's a thought: don't play it. No one is making you.
Don't let your kids play it.
And
if
also,
you feel this way, there's a rating system. There's a reason it's rated for people over 17, and it makes sense. Also, it makes total sense to me to put on to raise the age limit. There are things that pissed me off at 18 that I couldn't give a rat's ass about at 21. And it makes sense. And you can even argue it scientifically, which won't get you anywhere in this administration. Sorry. But it's
little rant.
No, it's not quite a rant. It's
a baby.
It's a baby rant. But scientifically, your brain isn't developed at that point. Your brain is meant at that point at say 17, you are wired to try things. You are wired to say, hey, if I did this, will it go wrong? You are meant to do that. You're meant to rebel. Teenagers are meant to rebel at that age. So why would it be okay for someone that age to get a gun? It makes no sense. It's the same logic, and the logic has stood that 18-year-olds aren't allowed to drink is because a lot of 18-year-olds are still in high school. So there's a lot of 18-year-olds who turn 18 January of their senior year. That's not okay. Mm-hmm. So
nope,
anyway,
it's bullshit.
Mini rant.
And then here's a relevant mini rant too, simply about, it really truly would be a slippery slope to start censoring violent video games, because then it's like, oh, so should we censor films and TV shows, because those also have a rating
and
system.
These are all things that have also in the past come up during these shootings.
And it's like, well, what else can we censor? What's bad or good, and who gets to decide? And then suddenly America is not so free anymore, although one could argue it is already not so fucking free.
It's only free if you're wealthy and white. Sorry. Veer off.
I'm going to try and shut this down real quick. And let's talk about
promises.
Different
discuss
evenings.
Political environments within video games themselves, and like the showing of like political environments, depictions within video games. I want to bring up most recently, I have this game I have not played since it just came out, and I'm poor. Far Cry 5.
I've heard a lot of interesting things about Far Cry 5.
Tell us about it.
Yes. Well, Far Cry series has a lot to do with people, like, in the past it's been terrorists and dictators in foreign countries. This is the first Far Cry series that's taking place in the United States. It has to deal with a cult leader in Minnesota, I believe.
I don't know.
Some like
you could say a state, and I'd have to believe you.
Yeah, somewhere I believe like the rural Midwest, and like Montana or something, like maybe Montana. I think it's Montana. I don't know. I can't say, and I'm not gonna look it up because I don't really care. But either way, it's the leader of a religious cult, and it's like spreading his word of God and like kidnapping people and killing people, all in the sake of the church that he's created. Mm-hmm. And this when it was first announced and brought out, there was a lot of backlash from religious conservatives saying like this is an attack on Christianity, saying like it's just like they're blowing Christianity proportionally, like they're saying like all religion is bad kind of thing, and
which is a more and more popular opinion, but
and there was a lot of backlash against it, and that backlash has since died down
because it wasn't as bad as they thought it would be.
No,
because the character was portrayed as far as I've heard, the character was portrayed as clearly crazy.
Yes,
and it wasn't this could be anyone.
Attack on crazy people.
Yeah,
like you can be religious people, fine. That kind of religion, not so much. That's its own. They realized that there was a big separation between Christianity and the shit that this guy was spewing. So it wasn't an attack on Christianity so much as it was an attack on cultism and stuff like that. But people still got pissed off at it, and that's happened in the past with other video games.
Yeah, and a truth about video games, at least for us, I know, is that certainly to me, I think that video games are a form of art. And art is always going to reflect the times a little bit sometimes. Like, that's what art is. We pull from the world that we live in. And so I think video games have every right to be political. Subject to the same rules, play what you want. Mm-hmm. No one's going to make you. But why the fuck not? If you don't like it, don't buy it.
I'm trying to think of other...
But why can't it still exist?
Aspects of politics displayed in video games. I know, like, there have been plenty of, like, every time there's, like, political, like, there's always games like make fun of different politicians and stuff like that are like indie games people make, like stuff like, and that's like its own brand of like doing thing.
That's its own thing.
But in terms of like
so
major,
like satire,
pretty much. But in terms of the major games, I'm trying to think of other things.
Well, something else that I think bears not repeating because we haven't said it yet, that bears mentioning is, especially in the popularity of war games, that they've started to veer away from because they're running out of material. But the they're going back to World War One. They're going back to like that stuff.
No one wants to play a futuristic war game.
Yeah, but for the longest time, the bad guys had been foreign. And had been, the good guys were America and the bad guys were foreign. Mm-hmm. And that bears mentioning. of there's a decent political turn, and that deals with marketing of teaching young, mostly boys, that you are look at all these manly men that we're portraying. They're out killing Muslim people, and that is teaching a lesson.
The army totally uses like Call of Duty and Battlefield as recruitment tools.
Absolutely, and that's fucked up. So
totally. And that even video games really are moving closer towards a liberal arc. I mean, that there are more games with female protagonists you can find these days, whereas that was very, very rare in the past. So it, like all art, grows and changes with the times.
Like it's supposed to.
Like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I find that Don't Starve is very political, because in this political climate, I'm always in danger of starving because of minimum wage being too low. So I think that really reflects the times as well. Bam! Take that. A joke.
I mean, there's like video games nowadays that like tackle many sensitive subjects, and which I think is a good thing. Like, depending on how they come at it, but
depends on how they go about it.
Abuse, racism, sexism. Like you're seeing like video games pushing like a hot button. Like they're bringing up these issues because they're important, and like, especially with games that have like a really good story. It's good to see that they're like bringing in like have a good. Yeah. They're like using modern conflicts in their writing, which is good to see.
Totally. Absolutely. And a lot of games really also can take you almost on like a journey of just basic morality where like you're the hero. Like you play Dragon Age, and if you treat everybody like a dick, nobody is going to stay around to be in your fucking party. But if you are kind to them, you have a lot of allies. You're usually fighting for good. And against evil, and that's always kind of fun. Just makes you kind of feel good.
I like it.
Hey.
That was pretty rant free.
Yeah,
for the
off
most
a couple
part.
Tangents, but for the most
Oh, we
part.
can do a little editing if you would like to.
Nah, that requires
Yeah,
effort.
fucking rants and rants. They were little rants.
It wasn't that bad of a rant. We could have been worse.
We definitely could. Oh boy, could we have been.
It could have been much worse.
We have a string of episodes planned.
You gotta start getting on that.
That there's gonna be a lot of rants, not political rants. Well, I'm sure it will get political at some point.
Because it always does.
Since no one really watches this anyway, I'm not going to spoil anything by saying this. We're planning a 3 series episode regarding diversity, where it wants to tackle diversity in theater and video games, specifically targeting gender, sexuality, and race. So I do 3 different episodes, and we're obviously, looking at all this and be like, they're all very white. We will bring people in.
On that, I was talking with my upper school, high school students, and they were saying we should do this show, we should do this show, and we should do that show, and I was just like, we're too white.
Thank you, Tony. Thank God you're there.
Yes. I was like, I will not. I will never. I will. Like, someone said Avita, someone said Aida, someone said South Pacific, and I was like, no. I was like, no. I refuse to do that. I said some of my favorite shows we will never be able to do because there are 3 non-white people in your school, and I was like, there are a lot of shows that we can do, but I'm saying no, and I'm saying no because I will never do that, and jokingly I said that someone asked if the Aida one was we should do an all-white production of Aida, and she was very clearly kidding. She was very clearly kidding, and I said, hey, any production we do is an all-white production of something. and it was very true. But just, I thought that was a fun story. I wanted to include that.
Good for you,
Don't
though, Tony.
whitewash theater.
No, God
It's
no.
bullshit. You can't.
Let's
You
end on
just-
that note. Don't
Please
fucking do
don't.
it. We'll
If
end
you're
badly
listening,
for you.
don't whitewash.
Half of this episode has been us like begging the audience not to do shit. Don't go on stage and don't interrupt plays and do not whitewash theater. And if you're gonna do a political play, do it right.
well.
That's
we're
our
asking. We
message.
know we're asking a lot.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We're asking for the bare minimum.
This is the bar, people. Start here,
We're
and then we'll go from there.
We're setting the bar, and then you can play.
Yes.
Oh, we don't know when we're gonna do those episodes, but once we have time and people
Soon.
lined up.
Yep.
Yeah. But thanks as always for tuning in, and we'll
Yeah.
see you next week.
Let us know what you want us to talk about, because we can rant forever, but
We
we want
can.
to do what you want to talk.
Yeah. Still waiting for that first comment on any of our videos.
Would be so great.
We will freak out. Like, we'll pop the champagne. It'll be great.
The first 2 minutes of the next episode will be us screaming.
If you want to see us get drunk again, like that other
Oh
episode,
God, the shake
just leave us a
your-
comment.
That's great. I don't love
Not you,
that. I
Patrick.
was drunk for hours
I kn-
afterwards too.
It can't just be Patrick or Jared.
It can't be anybody we're related to.
Yes.
Jesus, I don't think anybody I'm related to actually watches this. Anyway,
I think my dad occasionally watches this, which scares me, but
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you.
okay. Thanks all. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.